Hello and welcome to this video. This is a Fusion 360 tutorial on revolving. So revolving is kind of useful for when you want to create a shape which is kind of symmetrical around a circular path. So for example, a bowl would be quite difficult to model using normal methods. So revolving is one of those cases where it would become useful. So as you can see, if I go onto Google Images, for example, a donut shape is basically a circle revolved around a axis, which creates a torus, as it's properly called. Things like, for example, this is the bottom of what looks of it is the exhaust from a rocket. So something like this would be very difficult to model in normal methods. But with the revolve tool, we can make a cross section of this and revolve it round the center axis, which makes it quite easy. For another example is chess pieces. So the majority of this, except the top piece here, could be revolved around, because if we look around the entire outside, it is basically identical at all angles if we look at it. Something like obviously the horse it's not possible, but all these pieces except this bit at the top is basically made with the revolve tool in CAD if you wanted to make it. So well, example, this wine glass, you could make this all with the revolve tool. So we'd make half of it, and we'd make this outline shape here, and then we'd spin it. So you can see here, this is kind of the profile that was used to create this shape. For some reason it's missing the right edge here. These two should be connected, and then we should revolve it around the center axis, or the origin. Obviously the top piece here, once you revolve it, should be empty based on the profile. Okay, so if I show you some examples of my own, this is another example of something why you'd use a revolve tool. This pulley could be modeled either with the revolve tool, or you could do it with the normal like several steps where you extrude a cylinder, then create a profile, offset it and extrude that. Or you could do it in one step with the this shouldn't be here, this was a test I was doing. So this is basically the profile which was revolved. So if we create this shape and then we go to, if you go to here, and I just delete these, open this up. Actually, I don't need to do that. We're going to create revolve, and we're going to enable that sketch so we can see it. Select this, and the axis, we're going to select this face here. And that creates our revolve. Same thing with, let's try this one. This, for example, this bowl here. What I've done is made the body unselectable so it doesn't get in the way. So I made it unselectable, and I've also enabled the sketch so that I can mess with the profile while the 3D model's there. So we can make some funky shapes here. So I'm going to show you how you would create the profile here. Oh, this is quite interesting. So all you have to do to create this sort of thing is we're going to make a new document. I'm going to create a sketch on this face. And now we're going to go down, and first we're going to make a line, and we're going to draw this about, let's draw this about 15. Then what I want to do is select the fit point spline, and we're just going to sort of draw kind of a general shape. Doesn't have to be too perfect. Let's try that. Now what we need to do is ensure that this meets this straight line completely tangent. So we need to select that and click on horizontal vertical. So you can see now it completely enters at a straight line, which is perfect. That's what we want. Now we can modify this if we want to. We can mess around with this or whatever you want. This is going to be making a very narrow bowl, so I'm going to drag this down. I'm going to select both of these at the same time. Let's mess around with this shape a bit. Now what we're going to do is use O. I'm going to offset this by about 4 mil. Now we just need to join these together. I'm just going to do this as an angle. Doesn't really matter. Now we're going to extend this to this line and connect it here. So that forms the shape which we can now revolve. So we can go to Create, Revolve, select this profile, and revolve it around this axis. So you can see it's not quite the shape we want. So what we can do is go to Sketches. We're going to enable the sketch, and we're going to go to Bodies, and we're going to make this unselectable. Now we can click these points without the model interfering with that. So we can now just mess this, bring it down, and we can't mess with these because they are constrained. At least one of them is. So now we create some sort of pot or jug, which is quite interesting. So kind of looks a bit like a bowl you'd use at home. You could make it like a mixing bowl. There you go. It's nice, interesting shape. It looks like an army helmet upside down. So another example of using a revolve tool is a bullet, for example. So this was created by a sketch like this. Now the best way to create the profile is to imagine looking at a single face of the finished product. So you want to imagine this as the finished product, which it is. And then we're going to draw a line down the middle. And anything on the left is the shape you want to create a profile for. So that means that's why we got this as a shape, because it's half. And we always want to make sure we have a straight line on the one side. That way we can revolve around this axis. If you don't do that and create something crazy like this for example, and when we try to revolve it, we're going to get an error message, which is probably, there we go, could not create a valid body. This is because that shape will intersect with itself when it revolves around the vertical axis. So we can't have things like that. It needs to be a straight line down the middle. So to create this, I just created a rectangle. Then at the top, I created a 3-point arc, and made it sure it's tangent with this line here, and then clicked it. And then at the bottom, I extruded a little bit and used the arc again. And you can see this is 0.5 as well. And if you finish the sketch, that just kind of gives it the, I mean, for example, a bullet really, to be honest, is, the bullet is this piece here, and this is the casing, as you may know, especially if you're American. So if you go back here, we can modify this, hopefully. This may go horribly wrong. If we go to about this point here, and we drag out, let's say 0.25, and then let's offset this by -1, and then I'm going to create an arc that, and make sure we get it tangent. So you see that little circle that happened then? This little circle on the line, this means tangent. So what we can do now is modify the revolve feature, include that. So it kind of looks like the bit where the bullet would leave the casing. So, and you can see it goes all the way around. That's because we revolved it, essentially. So that's great. I mean, if you wanted to make it look more realistic, you could make a gap between the so-called bullet and the casing here. But that's totally up to you. Yeah. So, what I mean, if you want to do it, so I would just do an offset here, and offset it by 0.1. I mean, obviously this is not to scale, so these the dimensions are extremely small, but in reality they'll probably be a bit bigger than that. You don't really need to do much because it's only a fake. We're only faking it, to be honest. It's not a real separate component sort of thing. So it looks like it's if you do Control-4, you can see there's like it looks like it's a separate piece now. Control-6 brings the lines back. So yeah, that's pretty much why you'd want to use the revolve tool. So this is basically looks like a spindle, and we could put a hole in this. So let's just make this about 20, and select E, drag this back a bit. Now select all. Now we can turn this sketch off, and now we can whatever you want to do with that. I'm not sure, but thank you for watching this video, and I hope it helped in using the revolve tool. Catch you in the next one. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to like and subscribe for more videos like this. Or if you found it horrendous, please feel free to insult me in the comments. And while you're here, don't forget to check out the previous video if you haven't already, and the next video. Catch you in the next one.